Good day, everyone. And once again, we are back together. Just looking at that November 2022 exam, of course, in aid of those who are writing their final, or rather their supplementary exam tomorrow. So, and those who are going to watch in the future. So if you haven't subscribed, please just make sure you're part of the family. And of course, you can also become a member in this channel so that you can benefit from all those wonderful perks. Right, let's look at financial maths, November 2022. Right, let's get right into it. So they say to us, 12,000 rands was invested in a fund that paid an M% per annum interest, right? That is compounded quarterly. And after 24 months, the value of the interest was 13,459. So we need to calculate the interest rate there. Now, of course, this is the compound angle. So we're going to use the compound angle formula. A is equals to P, right? 1 plus I, right? But let me put it this way. Let me say I over M, right, multiplied by N times M. Now, of course, for those of you who have watched my videos, you know that N stands for the number of years, right? That's the period in years, right? Now, M would be the compounding cycle. In this case, they said it's compounded quarterly, so it means that M is 4, right? So the accumulated amount, we've got 13,459, and our present value, or rather the principal amount, okay, in this case was 12,000. So that's 1 plus, I'm going to leave that as I, okay, over 4 multiplied by, we said it's 24 months, which is 2 years, right, multiplied by the compounding cycle, which is 4. Right, so let's get right into it. So we're going to divide both sides by 12,000, right? Okay, and at this stage, ladies and gents, I'd love for you to do this as much as possible in the calculator so that it doesn't really affect you, in terms of rounding off, right? So this is going to be 1 plus I over 4, right, exponent 8. Right, so now in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take the 8th root of that. So what I do on the left, I do on the right. Okay, I don't want to round off, so I'm just going to keep these values, right? So remember, this cancels with that. So let's do that quickly. So I am going to take the 8th root, so shift, there's the 8th root of, in our fraction, we've got 13,459 divided by 12,000, okay? Right, so that's 12,000, sorry. That's 1.01, let's just say 4, just to make sure that we are as accurate as possible. Right, so this is going to give us, okay, with all the other values, this will be 1 plus I over 4, right? So now, take the 1 to the other side, okay? So I'm going to subtract from this value, sorry about that. I'm going to subtract from that value, going to subtract 1, right? So now I over 4 will equal 0.014 ... right? And of course, to get the value of I, all we need to do is multiply that by 4. So I multiply by 4 on the right, but what I do on the left, sorry, I do on the right. So in this case, that's multiplied by 4. Okay, I get a value of 0.0577. But remember, interest rate in this case is given as a percentage, right? So we still need to multiply that value by 100, okay? Right, and I get there, so M, okay, would be 5.7, let's say 78%. So that is what we'd get there, right? I hope that was clear. All right, I'm just going to have to make a little bit of space here, okay, just to make sure that these can fit, or you can read this nicely. Right, now they say to us on January the 31st rather, 2022, we've got Tino that deposited 1,000 rands into an account that paid an interest of 7.5% per annum that is compounded monthly, right? So he continues depositing 1,000 rand on the last day of every month, right? He will make the last deposit rather on the 31st of December 2022. So that's 12-month cycle, right? So now they say, will Tino have sufficient funds in the account on the 1st of January, right? So to buy a computer that costs 13,000. So let's check if we can accumulate that amount, if it can give us, in this case, 13,000 when we deposit 1,000 rands each day, or rather not each day, each month, right? And we know that our interest is at 7.5%. Right, note that the compounding cycle in this case is every month. So that simply means that M will be equal to 12, right? In this case, we know that we're going to deposit a value of 1,000 rands, right? Every single month, right? And we know that our interest rate in this case is 7.5, but we know we need to divide that value by 100, so that will give us 0.075. Now, because we're dealing with monthly deposits, so that would require for us to use our future value annuities, right? So we're going to say this is going to be X into, and please just familiarize yourself with these formulae so that you know which one to use when the equation calls for it, the occasion rather calls for it. Right, so in this case, we want to see what the future value is so that we can answer that question. So it's 1,000 rands, right, on a monthly basis. We know we are depositing there 0.075, but remember this is I over M, and again this is N times M over here. So this is I over 12, because remember we are depositing in this case on a monthly basis, and interest is compounded on a monthly basis, right? So that is 1 year, right? And in this case, 1 year, which has 12 months, okay? Right, in this case, it means our M value is 12, as we said, right? That's minus 1, okay, divided by, that's 0.075 over 12. Now, ladies and gents, I really want you at this stage to really use the calculator rather than trying to write things out, right? So let's do that together. So we're going to say this is 1,000, right? Multiplied, I'm going to open two brackets. That's 1 plus 0.075 over, okay, 12. Okay, just make sure that you represent that well enough. Okay, we close that bracket, but we've got yx 12, right? And that's minus 1 rather. Okay, all right. I'm trying to fix this thing. And for some odd reason, it's really giving me an issue, right? So, okay, there we go. That's minus 1. And I close that bracket, okay? So we need to make sure that we close that bracket, okay? Right, so this is divided by 0.075, but remember, divide that by 12, okay? Right, so the future value that I get is 12,421 and 21 cents, okay? Right, remember, was it Tino? Tino wanted to make sure that he can buy a computer that's worth 13,000, but the amount that it will accumulate to is 12,400. So clearly, Tino will not be able to buy this amount. Okay, right. So in this case, we can say, therefore, Tino will not be able to purchase. Yeah, you can finish that off. Okay, why? Because in this case, definitely the amount will be insufficient. The amount that he gets, 12,421 and 21 cents, is definitely less than 13,000, which is what we require to buy the computer, right? Okay, now let's go on to the next one, ladies and gents. Now, they say to us, sorry about that. They say we've got Tabo that plans to buy a car that costs 250,000. Yo, in this economy, yay! He will pay a deposit of 15% and take out a loan for the balance, right? So it means this, he will pay cash, that is the 15%. He will pay cash. And of course, the interest on this loan is 13% per annum, once again, compounded on a monthly basis, right? Now, they say to us, calculate the value of the loan. So obviously, the value of the loan will be what will be left after Tino has paid the 15% deposit. So what we need to find out is, right, what will be the 15% deposit? Or you can say, well, it means the value of the loan, right? Remember, the 15% he paid cash, so what is left as the loan? It's 100% minus the 15, right? Which is going to be 85%. So you can do that. You can say, well, actually the loan in this case will be 85%, which is 85 over 100, multiplied by 250,000. Okay. Alternatively, you could have calculated the 15%, okay, and subtracted whatever amount that you get from the 250,000, right, to get that loan amount. Right, so that's multiplied by 250,000, and I get an amount of 212,500. So that is the loan that he pays. As I said to you, you could have calculated 15 over 100 times 250. That is the deposit that he took out, and subtract that amount from the 250,000 to get the loan amount. Either way, you still get to the same answer. Right, now, they say to us, the first payment will be made 6 months after the loan has been granted. Okay? The loan will be repaid over a period of 6 years after it has been granted. They want to know what the monthly installment is, right? Or what the monthly installments are, right? What installment should he pay? Right, ladies and gents, I want you to please remember in this case. Now, let's try and draw a timeline that represents this particular event, right? So, what Tabo does is that he takes out a loan. So, here is the loan here at T0, right? And remember, the loan that he takes is 212,500. Okay, so that's the loan amount that he will take. But remember what he does. He will only start paying on the 6th month. Now, please, I want you to listen carefully. So that means T1, T2, T3, right? T4, T5, and he only starts paying here, right? Now, I want you to please stay with me. Over a period, we said over a period of 6 years, right? Now, how many months is 6 years? Okay, because we need to get that in months, because that's what the cycle is, right? So you're going to say that 6 multiplied by 12, I think that will give us 72, if I'm not wrong. 6 times 12, yes, that gives us 72. So we know that he should be able to pay off the loan right here, right? Now, ladies and gents, Thabo will start paying here at T6, starts making those contributions, right? Now, I want to know, right, that I want to know what the amount will have accumulated to. Now, remember, it accumulates here, accumulates there, right? Now, we'll say, okay, it accumulates there, right? Now, in this case, remember that he starts paying off the loan on the 6th month, right? So in that case, what it simply means, ladies and gents, and please, I want you to remember, when it comes to loans, remember between the granting of the loan and the beginning of the payment, remember there's always that month that you have as a gap, right? So I want you to please remember that that is always a practice. So in this case, between the granting of the loan, and that period, in this case, we've got a month that is always that cooling off, or whether we call it that, that cooling off period, right? So how many months does the actual amount start accumulating? So it will start accumulating interest, right, from this point here, right? So it will accumulate interest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Thabo starts paying off. Okay, right. So in what I'm going to do is, remember, he hasn't started paying there. I want to find out what will the amount accumulate to within those 5 months, right? So that's 1 plus I n. So that's going to be 200. That's the principal amount. 500. That's going to be 1 plus. Remember, the interest was 13%, right? So remember, within those months, it's accumulating interest at 13% on a monthly basis. So that's going to be 0.13. Remember, you say divide by 100. Okay, that happens on a monthly basis, right? But remember, it's not even a year, it's only 5 months. So I'm just going to say 5 there. Right, so this loan will accumulate. Okay, let's find out that amount, 500. Okay, into, that's 1 plus 0.13. Divide by 12, and in this case we're going to say yx 5. Okay, right, so within those months, what the loan accumulates to is 224,262.53. Okay, right, so this is what the loan accumulates to before he starts making payment, right? Now, ladies and gents, I want you to please listen again, listen carefully. Right, now note, on the 6th month, the amount has accumulated to, right, 224,262 and those 53 cents. Right, so there you have it on the 6th month. Note that as it accumulates to this, he starts paying, right? So what does that mean? It means if you look at it from the perspective of the months, right? If you said 72 months, right, minus the 6, minus the 6, right? So we're going to say from the 72nd month minus the 6, right? That gives us 66, right? But remember, that is only if he starts paying off from the next month. Okay, but remember, as it accumulated to this amount, it means we now need to include the 6th month as well. Okay, I hope I'm making that clear. So it's accumulated to this amount. It's almost like you're taking out a loan of 224,262, but you don't wait for another month to start making a deposit. You make a payment immediately, right? So as a result, it means that you are paying a 1 month extra, right? So in this case, it means that of the 66 months that are a difference, in this case, I'm going to add 1 because he started paying exactly from the time when the loan was granted. Okay, right. I hope I've explained that well enough, right? Please do watch our playlist on financial maths, and you'll understand that even better. Right now, so we're saying we're going to now take the present value formula. Remember, this is now having to do with loans, right? So I'm going to take the present value formula and say, right, that's X, that's the contributions, that's 1 minus 1 plus I. Okay, remember that's minus N, okay, divided by, in this case, I, right? Okay, so let's put in the values, right? We want to find out what X is. But what is our present value? Our present value is that amount of 224,262. Okay, let me just make some space here. Okay, this thing kind of frustrates me when it does that. Okay, so that's 262.53, right? Okay, we want to get the X amount. Okay, right. So now we're going to say into 1 minus, let's open brackets. That's going to be 1 plus. Remember, the interest was 0.13, right? 0.13. Going to say this is over 12, right? But remember, we're paying this off over not 66 months because we're including an additional month there. That's over 67 months. Please remember that when you are paying immediately, when you start paying off immediately, right? So this is divided by 0.13 over 12. Okay, right. Now, ladies and gents, I know a lot of you, when it comes to this, the mathematical gymnastics involved here are a little bit of a challenge. Right, so what are we going to do? I'm going to represent that as a fraction. So we cross multiply, right? So which means I've got X into 1 minus 1 plus 0.13. I want you to just follow me in this, minus 67, okay? Which is equal to, now I'm going to take this and multiply by that value, right? So let's do exactly that. So I've got, I don't know why I removed that value. So that's 262.53, right? And I multiply that by 0.13 divided by 12, okay? Right, and I get that value. So I'm not going to remove that value, right? Now, that value that we got, we are going to divide by this entire thing, right? So we're going to divide on the left and on the right by this entire thing. 1 minus 1 plus 0.13. Ladies and gents, please, I ask you not to write this out as it's going to waste time for you in the exam. I'm just doing it for the sake of, showing you what I'm doing, what steps I'm following, right? So that's 1 minus 1 plus 0.13 over 12. That's minus 67. Okay, that's the value that we had over there, so that this cancels with that. So let's do that. So we've got that amount, and we're saying divide that by, that's 1 minus, and I'm going to open bracket again, 1 plus 0.13, okay, over 12. All right, we close that bracket. YX, that's minus 67. Okay, right, so I'm going to close that bracket. And there I've got a value for X. So X would be 4,724 and 96 cents. So it means that on a monthly basis, he has to pay this amount so that he'll be able to finish off the loan in 6 years. Ladies and gents, I hope that is clear, right? Please remember that immediate payment issue that I referred to. All right. Otherwise, I will see you guys again. Perhaps in the next video, I'll try to look at probability. Okay. Sharp, sharp.